What would you do if the president of your homeowners association showed up at your burning cabin before the firefighters even had their hoses unrolled? I never thought I'd stand in the gravel drive of my own place on Shadow Ridge, watching flames devour the roof, while the woman who'd been harassing me for months stood there with a leather folder, already reciting violations like she had the script memorized. The crack of glass exploding from the windows hit me first. Not the sirens, not the shouts, just that sharp, final snap of every memory I'd built into those logs. Then the heat rolled out, thick and oily, even from where I stood. My cabin on the ridge above Shadow Lake in western Montana was going up fast. Flames poured through the shingles like they knew the way, sparks twisting into the night sky over the Ponderosis. Fire trucks growled up the slope, lights flashing red and white off the tree trunks. Hoses snaked across the dirt, water hissing into steam the second it touched the siding. "Mr. Harlan," the voice cut clean through the roar. Too composed for a night like this. I didn't turn right away. I watched a firefighter haul a line over the porch steps my late wife and I had stained cherry red one summer. Those boards were curling black now. "Jack," I said finally. Evelyn Harper, president of the Shadow Lake Homeowners Association, stepped into the engine light like she was about to chair a meeting. Navy blazer, hair pinned tight, clipboard clutched like a shield. Her phone screen glowed in her hand. Of everyone on this ridge, she was the last person I wanted to see. "Jack," she said, mouth in that thin line I'd seen at too many association gatherings. "I'm here because this affects the whole community. Flames are visible from the South Shore. We've had calls already. And frankly, there are questions." Embers drifted past her. Ash settled on the wild roses by the gate. Roses my wife, Ellen, planted because she said the first light hit them just right. "What kind of questions?" I asked. She glanced past me at the blaze. How it started, why there were no proper fire breaks, whether your modifications created a hazard. Hazard. The word burned hotter than the roof. "This place stood here before half your subdivision was built," I said. "Nothing changed yesterday." She tilted her head. "We both know that's not entirely true, Jack. You've been resistant to our lakefront safety guidelines. Unauthorized fencing, overgrown brush along the ridge, that old generator setup." Sheriff Tom Landry stepped between us, boots crunching gravel, Ash dusting his hat brim. "Now's not the time, Evelyn." She gave him a quick practice smile. "Of course, Sheriff. I'm only concerned for safety. If this was accidental, we need to know. If it wasn't." She let the words hang in the smoke. I'd seen how she eyed my ridge, the old barn, the spillway, the rocky slope developers couldn't touch because my deed, recorded in 1962, said so. She didn't want order. She wanted control. "You think I torched my own home?" I asked. Her eyes flicked back. "I think it's irresponsible not to consider every possibility. The association has documented multiple violations this year. Fuel storage concerns. That lumber stack by the barn. The barn that's burning too," I pointed out. Funny how that lines up. Something crossed her face. She tapped her clipboard. "Our bylaws are clear about combustibles within 50 feet of structures. I sent you 4 notices. You ignored them." I'd answered, not her, but the county fire marshal, with photos, reports, my own stamped assessments. 30 years as a dam engineer teaches you to measure risk. They'd clear me. Evelyn just didn't like the answer. A shout went up. "Roof's going." The cabin groaned low, then flames punched higher, reflecting in her eyes. "This is exactly what we've warned about," she said, almost satisfied beneath the concern. "One spark here and the whole ridge goes. If it reaches the lakefront." "Winds are pushing north," I cut in. "You can see it's same as me." She ignored that, turning to Tom. "Sheriff, the board will need a full investigation. Liability issues. If Mr. Harlan's negligence caused this, we'll have to pursue action. Residents are already worried about insurance hikes." Tom's voice sharpened. "Not tonight. Fires don't start on cool nights with no lightning, no wind." I'd walk the property at dusk like always, check the spillway, listen to the creek, watch the lake take the last light. Everything normal. Too normal, looking back. I watched the front door cave in, sparks billowing. Somewhere under the floor was my fireproof box, bolted to concrete, holding deeds and drives I hope survived. And scattered around, places Evelyn called paranoid, were motion cameras. She stepped closer, voice low. "For what it's worth, Jack, I'm glad you weren't inside. This could have been much worse for everyone." "For everyone," I repeated. She held my gaze a second longer, then turned and walked to her SUV. Taillights swept over the old metal sign on my gatepost. Harlan Ridge, Est. 1962. "Tom, watch her go. You okay?" "No," I said, "but I'm upright." He nodded. "State investigators coming at dawn. We'll see what they find." "They'll find what they're supposed to," I murmured. Tom frowned. "Meaning?" I watched how the fire tracked along the siding. Not random, pattern directed. "This wasn't an accident," I said quietly. "And I think I know who's first in line to point fingers when the report lands." Her taillights faded toward the lakefront gates she loved so much. 6 months earlier, the ridge smelled of sawdust and lake water, not smoke. I was fixing the fence Ellen and I designed together. A simple 6-foot privacy rail of hand-split cedar, stained dark to melt into the hillside. She wanted a quiet spot for morning coffee, watching trout rise. I'd set the last post when a car door slammed behind me. Too sharp for this dirt track. A gleaming silver SUV idled at the pullout. Evelyn stepped out in that navy blazer, followed by a tall guy in a neon vest holding a clipboard like it was a license to judge. "Morning, Mr. Harlan," she said, striding over like the path was hers. "We've had a report of an unpermitted structure." "It's a fence," I said, leaning on my post-hole digger. 6'4". "Our ridge bylaws cap at 6, she replied instantly. The vest guy snapped his tape open. "Bylaws don't apply," I said. "My land predates your association. Deed's clear." She lifted her chin. "Views matter. Uniformity matters. Property values matter." I didn't say Ellen's memory mattered more. I pulled the laminated deed from my pocket. Yellowed, edges soft from showing it to surveyors and developers over the years. "Boundaries surveyed, recorded. Yours ends at the county line." She barely glanced before handing it back. "The association has concerns about your improvements." "You mean the fence Ellen designed?" Her expression flickered. Annoyance, maybe, then smoothed. "We want compliance, Jack. Everyone else follows the rules." I looked down at the lake, new houses glittering along the shore, glass and steel, weekend places for folks who didn't stay for winter. "Funny," I said. "Ellen and I don't recall signing up for Shadow Lake HOA." She took a breath. "Perhaps you should review your title. We're expanding. Long-term plans to elevate the community." The vest guy asked, "Market for removal?" "No," I said before she answered. "You're on my land. Tape stays down." "You can't threaten association personnel," she said. "Didn't threaten. Told him not to trespass." Silence fell. A hawk circled overhead, shadow gliding between us. She cleared her throat. "You'll get formal notice in 72 hours. Non-response means escalating fines." She turned, heels crunching, but paused. "Without looking back, this fence interferes with planning. It doesn't fit the aesthetic we're building." They left. Dust spun in the sun. I picked up the drop tape measure. Stamped on the side, "Shadow Lake Expansion Project, Lot Survey." They weren't after aesthetics. They want a land. My land. A cold knot settled in my gut. Why would an HOA draw plans over a ridge they didn't own? The answer came in thick envelopes crammed into my mailbox. Formal notices on heavy stock. Boat shed unapproved. It was an old lean-to from the 70s. Livestock over limit for head. Ridge properties exempted. Non-compliant rose garden. Ellen's roses. I stacked them on the kitchen counter like bricks, photographed each, log dates. Engineer habit. Then Sheriff Tom showed up one afternoon, hat in hand. "Got complaints," he said, pulling a thick folder. 23 in 19 days. All from the HOA board. I exhaled. "You believe them?" "Not about believing. Obligated to follow up." He glanced around the quiet cabin. Photos put away after Ellen passed, quilt folded. "They're loud, organized, funded. But I remember who was here first." "Talk of developers again?" He nodded. "Boards asking county about zoning, expansion, property availability. If they make your place look unsafe, the room stilled. Outside, wind rattled dry grass. A bluebird landed on the fence. So this isn't compliance, I said. No, Tom admitted. I don't think so. Tell me what you need. Cooperation. Patience. He left, and I stepped onto the porch as the sun slid behind the ridge, streaking pink and gold. Ellen called it the Ridge's quiet hour. That night, sorting notices, I realized this wasn't random. It was strategy to bury me in paper until I sold or broke. What else were they willing to do? The answer came on a still night, storm clouds stacking west. I checked the spillway, habit from damn days. Something felt wrong. Air heavy. I grabbed a jacket, headlamp, followed the trail down. Lake level dropped 2 inches since dusk. Impossible without release. I knelt at the concrete lip. Water trickled wrong. Metallic creak from the intake gate, locked hours earlier. Fresh tire tracks in mud from the HOA access road. Lock forced. I followed to the valve house. Handle half open. Boot prints, 2 sets. One small, one heavy. Someone tampered deliberately. Full open would surge downstream. Flood trails, blame my unsafe dam. Thunder cracked. Rain hit. I reset the valve, checked gauges. Then a red blink. Motion camera LED. Footage later showed 2 figures. One in HOA vest, one gesturing like Evelyn. They left. 5 minutes later, her complaint email arrived at 4:17 a.m. Water hazard from Ridge. Not annoyance. Strategy. Make me the danger. One orchestrated accident at a time. I talked to old-timer Hank Whitaker. Lived here since before the HOA. He smoked his pipe on his porch, listened, then pointed to the South Shore mansions. He handed me an envelope. Old letters, emails, patterns matching mine. Then an emergency inspection. A guy in vest arrived, photographed harmless lumber, dirt pipes. I recorded him admitting Evelyn Harper specifically. A friend from the county bar, Laura Bennett, brought blueprints. Marina, luxury homes, boat slips, Phase 3 over my ridge. Preferred access, Harlan property. Internal memo in Evelyn's hand. If Harlan Ridge fails safety review, proceed with acquisition. Worse, her insurance claim filed 2 weeks earlier for projected fire damage from my property. They weren't waiting for fire. They planned one. I set cameras wider, kept quiet, documented. Then the night came. Smoke woke me. Flames alive on the roof. I ran out. Heat slammed. Fire moved too clean. Lines along barn, generator, cabin. Firefighters saved my lockbox. Inside, drives with footage. 10:08 p.m. 2 figures with fuel cans. Evelyn directing. Propane rig on generator. She walked away as fire bloomed. Phone out, compose concern ready. She checked her phone 10 minutes before ignition. Insurance claim 2 weeks old. I called Tom. Come see. A week later, county courthouse in Whitefish. Pine scent, old beams, packed benches. Evelyn walked in confident, blazer crisp, until she saw the lockbox. Laura presented. Dam tampering footage, arson video, predated claim, investigator report, accelerants professional setup. Evelyn stood. Fabrications. He's hostile, non-compliant. Judge Margaret Ellis raised a hand. Address evidence, Ms. Harper. Laura laid county clearance, fire origin report. Judge, you accused negligence. Evidence suggests otherwise. She authorized criminal probe. Arson, fraud, conspiracy, tampering. HOA power suspended my land. Afterward, state agents moved. Arrests. Evelyn, treasurer, contractor, fake inspector. HOA dissolved, funds frozen, audit started. I got grants, restitution. Neighbors helped rebuild. Frame up, beams raised. Marina halted. Developers fled. On the new deck, sunrise gold on the lake, Laura smiled. Home again. It will be, I said. I dipped fingers in cold water. We'll build it right. A trout rose. Splash echoed. You can burn a house, but not the truth. If you've ever fought to keep what's yours against someone who thought power trumped deed, drop a comment, especially on injustice, overreach, or standing ground when everything's against you? What's your take? Where do you draw the line between community rules and outright theft? Share your thoughts. I'd like to hear them.